My name is Rob Dauster. The gentleman you see next to me wearing the Michigan hat today, deciding that he's going to bring bad luck on everybody that follows any of his bets, is the one and only Jeff Goodman. Jeffrey, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm wearing it because I'm hoping everybody in that Michigan program is okay in the athletics department, everywhere throughout the Michigan program because they were shut down last night. The student newspaper broke the news, and that probably was the biggest news of the day, just because we don't know what it means with a different strand of COVID. And I've heard about this, Rob, from other coaches lately, and they've said that have been hit by COVID, and they've said the difference has been lately that it hasn't been asymptomatic. Kids have actually had symptoms. It's going through their programs at a quicker rate and hitting them harder. And I hope this isn't something. I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but I just hope this isn't something that is going to affect our country. Forget about college basketball, but more for our country. Going forward, and we're not going to be able to contain this thing, because it felt like we finally have positive vibes about all this, right? Biden taking over, wear masks, whatever it is, and hopefully again we can start to come together as a country and everything like that. And again, maybe I'm making too much out of this, but it is one of those things where you worry right now that this new strand is worse.
Yeah, the part that really opened my eyes to this was that this wasn't like a Michigan athletic department decision. This was like a Michigan state decision, like coming down from the governor, coming down from the people that are voted to be in charge in that state, that basically said, you guys can't do this. You know, we have this new variant, this new strain, this new mutation. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm a doctor, that I understand everything that's what's going on there. But I do know that it's more transmissible and it's more contagious, and that's a problem with the way that this thing is already spreading in our country. And, it really did feel like we kind of had the light at the end of the tunnel, right? Like the vaccines are starting to roll out. Yep. Like my family's starting to get them. My wife just got approved to be able to go get her vaccine. She's going to find an appointment now. And now I mean,
our buddy Gary Parrish just showed up down in Mississippi and got it. Like, I don't know. I think he just filled out a form, checked out. And got his first one. And I'm not gonna lie, like I was jealous when I heard that. I was like, man, like here in Massachusetts, we're months away from that. Months. I mean, my dad's over, he's over 75, and he's still not able to get the vaccine. Probably you're talking a month or so for him. So anyway, yeah, listen, Michigan is a story to watch right now. But the bigger picture is obviously our country, and then college basketball, how it affects.
Yeah, and the thing with Michigan that's really, it kind of hits it home is that on Tuesday, Purdue played Ohio State, right? They won at Ohio State. There's a video going around of the locker room after that game, where everybody, like Purdue won a game on what basically amounted to a buzzer beater hit by a freshman, and they're all jumping around, celebrating in the locker room after the game. 12 hours after that, according to a timeline put together by Brendan Quinn at The Athletic, Sasha Stefanovic, who was in the middle of that celebration, tested positive for COVID-19 and started showing symptoms. He was isolated from everybody after testing positive. Purdue tested, I think they said every single day, maybe it was twice a day.
Yeah, the Big Ten tests every day with the PCRs, so that's how they can play right away, basically.
Right. So and Sasha
negative. Everybody else you can play because we're testing every day.
Yes. Yeah, and apparently Sasha showed symptoms and didn't immediately test positive, but they were like, you're going to isolate anyway, and eventually he did end up testing positive. But I mean, he was like, that was 12 hours after he was celebrating with all of his teammates in that locker room, and Michigan still decided to play Purdue on Friday night, 2 days later, because there were no positive tests, and that's the kind of thing where it's like, well, okay,
what are we doing?
Yeah, Purdue played Ohio State. Purdue played Ohio State on a Tuesday, right? Then Ohio State turns around and they played Wisconsin on Saturday at Wisconsin. So you had all of that travel with all of those teams. And now Michigan is shut down. It's just like at some point, it's kind of like, what?
Well, is it going to go
what
through
is-
the entire Big Ten now because of how they've handled this? And again, they test every day, which has allowed them, honestly, to be the most effective league in terms of high major league, in terms of playing games thus far, right? But like the accuracy, are they doing the right thing? I mean, they're getting their guys on the court, and that is a win. And again, listen, the mortality rate among college kids,
Yeah, but it's not the issue. And I keep the frustrating thing about all of this when talking to people about this, it's not
just the mortality.
it's not just whether or not these
100%.
kids are going to die. It's like, okay,
how sick are they going to get? Yes.
How sick are they going to get? Is there like a Keontae Johnson situation? And it's the spread. Like it's the spread of it, and
especially now.
And
now with this strain that we just don't know the answer to. So I'm with you. All right, let's move on to some.
Yeah, and look, Brandon just said that there were no positives in the basketball program, and yes, we know that. Not yet, we know that, but it's also like the risks that you're taking with it. It's I don't know.
We just don't know answers. We don't.
Yes, and look,
everybody's moved the chains so far, and let's hope we can get to the finish line. We're 7 weeks away today from Selection Sunday. I still say, Rob, and I'll say it again, NCAA, if you're listening, and we're going to have Dan Gavitt and David Warlock on the Goodman and Hummel podcast, which will be up on Tuesday. We're recording tomorrow. I'm going to ask them, bubble up, spend the money, $150 million, $100 million, whatever it costs, and bubble up. Because if you don't, telling you, you're going to run the risk of things like this. Michigan, other programs shutting down for 2 weeks. And then what do you do?
Because here's the other part of it, Jeff. Students are going to start coming back to campus eventually.
They already are.
Yeah. And that is the biggest risk. It's not what did your boy call it? The golden window. Yeah. The golden window has slammed shut. And
there was no golden window. Like ask Merrimack College about the golden window, or Siena, or South Carolina. Yeah, Frank Martin. The golden window worked out well. He got COVID twice.
Yeah, but okay. See, that's where trolling you comes in. It works out perfectly. But yeah, it's problematic. All right. Speaking of things that are also problematic, Jerry Stackhouse went off on his team. Coach K went off on a student reporter. And honestly, the Coach K one, I'm a little bit surprised that there's been as much of a negative backlash as there has been, because I thought that the question was fine, and his response was like, it was a little condescending, but it very much felt like a grandfatherly thing, where you kind of like say something to your grandfather, and your grandfather's like, well, that's not how you're supposed to do it, and it's like, okay, it wasn't that bad, but it's also, Coach K, you don't have to, not everybody is coming to you for advice on everything. Right. You don't have to dispense your wisdom at everybody that comes across your path. And that's kind of what I think the big thing was. It sounded very condescending the way that he said it. I had a much, and it was completely unnecessary too. It wasn't like a bad question. All you have to do.
Here's what people need to know. Here's what people needed to know. And for that student reporter. So it was a student reporter who basically asked the question. His name was Jake Piazza. His first post-game question to Coach K. And he basically asked him, hey, Coach, after that loss, what do you have to do next? That was basically his question in a nutshell. What do you have to do next to get better, to improve? Now, what people have to realize is a lot of times you're getting one shot with Coach K all week. You're not getting another availability before their next game. So you have to spin it forward. And it wasn't an out-of-line question.
No, it's the most basic, simple question that any reporter asks in that situation. That's right. He said, okay, Duke lost. His story is going to be, okay, how do they get better? So you ask Coach K, how do you get better? You know what Coach K needs to say? Well, we're going to watch the film on the flight home, and when we get back, we're going to get into practice.
Yep.
We got Georgia Tech on Tuesday.
We battled. But you know what? Ultimately, we didn't come up with a win. But I need to watch the tape to really be able to break it down.
Yeah, and we're going to get in practice and we're going to improve. And I loved our intensity. And as long as we compete the way that we competed today, I think that we're going to be fine. I think we'll have a good chance to win against Georgia Tech on Tuesday. That's all you have to say. It's so simple. Like we just went on for like a minute right there, and we didn't say a damn thing. But it's a quote that the person can put in the paper, and that's all you really need. Like that's all he wanted.
It was very disappointing. Very, very disappointing that he would do that to a kid. And that's my thing. You want to go after me or you? If we ask that question, come on, man. Come on.
But okay, so that's the one thing.
Don't do that to a kid.
The one thing that I will push back on is going after him. I don't think that he was going after him. I think that he was like, it was like the same thing as the Dylan Brooks thing, where he was like, I think that his reaction was, okay, let me teach this young man the ways of the world and how to do this the right way. And like, you don't need to do, like, you don't have to do that. You know, like you're Coach K. Like when it comes to coaching your basketball players up, like, yes, I'm sure that everything that you say is going to help Matthew Hurt and Jalen Johnson and Wendell Moore and all of these guys. But like, you don't need to correct the student report. Like he just wants a quote for a story. That's all he needs. Right. But do you want me to galaxy brain this? You want my conspiracy theory on this?
Go ahead. What do you got?
What are we talking about right now? We're talking about
not them losing and being 5-5.
They're 5-5. They don't have a top 100 win in the net. They're ranked 90th in the net. They're probably not making the NCAA tournament. And what are we talking about?
We can't say that yet. We can't say that yet.
But what are we talking about? What are we talking about right now?
No, I tweeted. You're right. It takes the attention away from how shitty their team has been this year. And again, I'm not going to make too many excuses for Coach K on this one. I'm not, because that's not me. But what I will say in his defense is Coach K and Duke brought back his kids later than almost every high major program in America this year. I think it was like August 4th. And even when he brought him back, Coach K did not work out with these guys right away. Like he's over 70. They told him, stay away. We don't want you putting yourself at risk. So they were further behind than most. That's the only thing I'll say to Coach K. And they're giving a little bit of the benefit of their doubt why their freshmen have taken longer to come around. That's all.
Yeah. And I will also say this for people that would think that we're Duke haters or Coach K haters or have an anti-Duke bias or whatever. We defended him for things that he said about the insurrection at the Capitol after that happened. Like we praised him for it. We commended him for it. We defended him when he decided he wanted to opt out of non-conference play. Yep. And we defended him there when everybody else was making jokes and ripping on him. Well, we also made some Coach K jokes, but for the most part, we defended him. You got to get your Coach K jokes in. But this is just like, it's just so unnecessary and it takes all the attention away from
And he usually, Rob, the one thing I'll say for those who say like, well, he's being a poor sport, a bad loser. The first thing K always does after he loses, every single time, and I've been in all these press conferences, first thing he does is give the other team credit. Whether he means it or not, I don't care. He does it the right way generally. And my guess is yesterday, at the beginning of that press conference, I didn't see it, he probably gave Chris Mack in Louisville and Carlik Jones credit.
Yeah, he does that thing where he looks up at the ceiling and he's like, well, that's a good team over there. Right, that's exactly. A good team that we played. Yes. That's like. I can't tell you how many times I've heard Coach K say that's a good team that we played.
It was about
yeah.
It's about so anyway.
All right.
So
Jerry Stackhouse. Do you want me to take this one first so that you don't have to get the blame for going off on him?
Yes. I mean, this is something I've been waiting to do for a while. And I have done since the day he got hired. I said Stackhouse was a bad hire. And I really said, as much as anything, I thought the athletic director was an idiot, the former athletic director, for firing Bryce Drew like a month into his tenure was a complete moron. And then he got fired for doing some crap within the athletic department. So he's gone. New AD, listen, bottom line is I think I'm right on this one. I may not have been right about Juwan Howard, okay? But most times I've been right about the former NBA player who has $100 million in their account not being prepared to work hard enough in college basketball. Chris Mullin, Patrick Ewing. Now we got Stack, who blew his stack last night. And the bottom line was Stack threw his players under the bus. Something you do not do. He threw a freshman. You didn't like that? He blew his stat?
Oh man, no, that was good. I actually wish I
Right.
thought of that. That was pretty good.
So here's my favorite quote from Jerry Stackhouse after they lost to Arkansas by 20 and are 0-5 in SEC play. So here's one of them. So somebody asked him, is it just an attitude effort thing? Yeah, I just think it's a focus thing. You hate to point to one thing, one guy, but it's just today, it was literally Miles Stute. I couldn't even keep him in the game. And again, freshmen are going to have ups and downs, but they're supposed to be able to play well at home. I expect them to not perform as well on the road. That's typically what role players and young guys struggle with. Like, come on, Stack. That's bullshit. That is bullshit to single out a freshman who played 14 minutes and put that on him. You know, you played at a high level. Maybe you were so good that it motivated you, but it's a freshman. It's a freshman in the middle of a damn pandemic. Get a clue. Be a leader. Come on.
Yeah, at some point, and I remember my dad was a teacher, and one of the things that he used to say was that if every student failed a test in his class, then he didn't do a very good job teaching.
Right.
If his guys weren't ready to learn and didn't learn, then it was on him as a teacher. And I think that kind of applies here too, right? Like Jerry Stackhouse in his career is 15-28 overall. He's 3-20 in the SEC.
He sucks. He's done a garbage job, period.
And at some point, you kind of have to turn the camera on yourself. And look, it's not like he didn't have talent either.
Right.
You know, Saban Lee's an NBA player,
Neesmith
right?
Hurt for part of last year, so I get it. They were like 8-5 with Neesmith, and then they bottomed out without him.
They still had Saban Lee. They still have Scottie Pippen Jr., who's averaging 22 a game.
My bigger thing, Rob, is, according to my sources, over and over, I've heard from plenty now, the dude doesn't work hard enough. Number one, he doesn't work hard enough, which is no surprise for, again, a former NBA player. Number two, his whole approach has been, I'm going to outdevelop people. I'm not going to out-recruit them. I'm going to outdevelop them. Yeah, like that doesn't work in college basketball. Unless you're like Tony Bennett, you're not out-developing people. You're listen, yeah, you did a great job with the 905 team, okay? The 905, the Toronto Raptors G League team that he won the title with a few years ago. Well, do you know who was on that team, Robert? Do you have any idea who he had on that team that he won the title with?
Give it to me.
He had Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet on that team. like Talia could have coached that team to the title. They're playing against like Troy Williams and Kyle Wiltshire, and he had friggin' 2 fringe NBA All-Stars on his team.
He developed them. That's what it was. Stackhouse developed.
Here's the team he went up against. Ready? Here's the team. He had Siakam and VanVleet. The starting 5 for the Rio Grande Vipers in the series, in the championship series. JP Tokoto. I know I pronounce his name wrong every time. Kyle Wiltshire. These are some tough names. Chinanu Onuaku from Syracuse, right? Syracuse?
Nope, that was Arinze. Chinanu's from Louisville.
Louisville, yeah. Troy Williams and Darius Morris. And he had Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam. Yeah. Okay. My point proven.
All right. So a lot of other games happened yesterday. What was the biggest storyline? Was it Konzo's revenge? Was it Baylor getting a win when Cade Cunningham didn't play? Was it Oklahoma beating Kansas? Was it Florida State proving that they're the best team in the ACC? Was it
Kansas losing 3 straight? It was Kansas losing 3 straight, and I don't think you can say anything else. Because now are you looking at the start of the slide for Kansas? Okay, with everything that's happened, with the NCAA and federal investigations, right? Are we starting to see the slide with Kansas now to whereas they're not going to be elite anymore? Like, I've still got them in the top 10 this year. Even with their 5 losses, 3 of them are high-level losses, right?
This is example number 1, by the way, of why no one should ever take your ranking seriously, because you still have Kansas in the top 10. And all you've done, every single time we've done one of these shows, you've been like, Kansas isn't that good. They don't have a top 10 player. They don't have a draft pick. They suck. This team is the worst team I've ever seen in my entire life. And then you still have them in the top 10. Because
of this. because of this. 3 of their losses have come to Gonzaga, at Baylor, and then the one at Texas at home, they got blown out. But, like, okay, is anybody beating Gonzaga on a neutral court or Baylor at Baylor? Anybody? No. So throw those 2 losses away. So they've got 3 losses. Texas at home, not a good loss because of how it happened. At Oklahoma State, neither of those are bad losses. They're not. Like, Oklahoma is a top 25 team right now. Oklahoma State is a top 20 team right now. You lost on the road in both. Their 5 losses are as good as anybody's 5 losses. And their wins, they beat Creighton. They beat in Lubbock. They beat Texas Tech. They beat West Virginia. They beat Oklahoma at home. Like, they beat a crappy Kentucky team. I don't even count that. But they beat Texas Tech and West Virginia, who are both like top 15 teams, Rob. They have to be in the top 10. They have to be when you put their resume up against all these other teams. Okay, Kansas plays West Virginia tomorrow. Who are you taking?
Probably West Virginia.
Well, you can have them. I'll just say it's close. How's that? I will say it's a total toss-up. If they play 10 times, they probably split 5 apiece. And
Kansas doesn't play West Virginia tomorrow. Oh, you're saying if they play West Virginia tomorrow.
Yeah, if they play them tomorrow, yes. If they play them tomorrow 10 times.
Okay. I was about to say. I was about to say, what have you been sipping on over there? What did you put in your coffee?
Big Monday. I don't even know who's
Big Monday. Texas Tech, West Virginia, Syracuse, and Virginia. I do also just want to mention that that you went out and you put together this unbelievable list of the teams that have the best home courts.
I did.
The best home court versus road disparity in conference play.
I did.
And you proved
to
everybody that Minnesota and Wisconsin are the 2 best home court teams on the planet. And both of them went out on Saturday and got whipped at home.
Oklahoma.
Whipped at home. Just got whipped at home.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I did. Minnesota was 13th, and I did put it together because of Minnesota. They were 4-0 this year at the barn, 0-4 against on the road in conference play. I felt so good about that game yesterday. I was like, there's no way Minnesota giving 5.5. This is like easy money. This is stealing. And I even doubled up on it. Like, it was bad. It was, luckily I came from behind. I looked at it yesterday. At one point I was 7-10. I made 24 bets yesterday. I was 7-10 at one point. And I was like, oh man, I'm in trouble. And I finished strong, Rob. You know how I finished? 14-10. I won my last 7.
Not bad.
It was
not bad, Jeffrey. Not
Saturdays are not my strength. We talked about this yesterday because I'm a little bit all over the place. There's so much going on in my head. I can't handle all that. You can, Mike. You know, you're all over the place. I just don't do well like that.
All right. So today, fewer games. We have Rutgers at Indiana. Indiana's laying 4.5. We have Notre Dame at Miami. Miami's laying 3. Yeah. We have Memphis at East Carolina. I'm not even sure what the line is, but I think
6.
that we probably just kind of have to ride
6.
I like those 3 favorites.
I love Memphis. I love Memphis here.
I like all 3 favorites.
Pause. I mean, the Memphis Tigers are feeling good about themselves today. They're coming in with some swagger. Like Memphis, if you're Memphis, you need swagger, don't you? Like, I want to see Memphis come on the court and be like the Antonio Anderson Memphis team, where they come on the court, they're talking shit. Like, East Carolina is scared of them. I'm not sure it's at that point. But like, I want Memphis to think they're that at least.
Mm-hmm.
So I like.
They need to be. They need to be.
So
yep.
That's my pick of the day, I believe. And
I do like Miami. I'm not sold on Notre Dame necessarily being all that good.
Right.
I do believe Cam McGusty and Earl Timberlake are both going to play unless there's some.
Likes is not. I'm told Likes is not.
But Cam McGusty and Earl Timberlake played the last game, and I know they got run out of the gym, but
but that's why I like it even more. I actually like it more with them.
It's a buy low spot. I also really like Indiana too. I just this feels like a spot where Rutgers is just
You hate Rutgers now. You hate them.
They just I don't know what it is, man. I think it's part of it is they're all banged up. Part of it is they didn't have the advantage of the emotion at the rack. Part of it is they're not getting the stops that they were getting before. I think Indiana's the play there, especially like if Indiana's going to make some jumpers and Armand Franklin and Rob Finney are going to play well. The one thing to keep an eye on is that I think Amaruye is back. Is that right?
Cliff, yeah. Cliff played I think last game, didn't he?
Yeah. So if he's around, like that does change things a little bit. But again, it's.
You don't think this is going to be a close game, like a grinder? Like Indiana scored last game. No,
I don't. I just like I.
You don't have confidence in Rutgers right now. You have none.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of Rutgers at this point. Yeah. And Indiana at home, like with a little bit of like. I also do think again, Indiana is one of those teams where they kind of have to be like, "Fuck you, we're Indiana." Yeah. You know what I mean? And
I don't think that works with Indiana. I think it works with Memphis. I don't think
it does. It does, but it's a confidence thing with them. And I don't know how much of their struggles has necessarily been confidence, how much of it has been coaching, how much of it has been they're just not that good. But I've been saying it all years. Like my biggest thing with Indiana is that they have this stud in the post and they don't have the shooting around him to be able to make it happen. They don't have the playmaking. Yep. And if Armand Franklin can get it going and Rob Finney can get it going, that does change things a little bit. And mostly like I don't want to invest anything on Rutgers at this point. They've lost 5 in a row. They've lost 6 of the last 7. They're 3-6 in the Big Ten. They're 7-6 overall. They're coming off of an 8-point loss at Penn State.
Yep.
I think Indiana's the play there. So I like the 3 favorites in those games.
All right. Let me give you a couple more here that I kind of like. All right. So I like Delaware. They didn't cover yesterday. They're getting 4.5 against UNC Wilmington. UNC Wilmington, 4th game since Monday. Rob, 4th game in 6 days. A lot of games. Same deal with Hofstra. I like Hofstra playing Towson. And both, and to compound it, both UNCW, who's playing Delaware again. I like Delaware getting the 4.5. And Hofstra, who's giving 5.5 against Towson. Towson's 4th game in 6 days, and both UNCW and Towson were coming off pauses. So had nothing, had to play now 4 times in 6 days. So I like those 2. I'm going to take those 2 and hope at worst I split, and at best I win both because they're just not going to have their legs ultimately. Mm-hmm. So those are I'm gonna stay simple today. You know, not a lot going on.
So you said you're fading UNC Wilmington and you're fading Towson, right?
Correct. That's right. I'm taking Delaware and Hofstra. I'm taking Memphis and Miami. I believe that's all I love at this point. Like, there's some stuff I kind of like, but not enough. Like, I kind of like BU getting 5, kind of. But I'm worried about that whole mask thing with BU playing at Lafayette. Like, I just don't know how BU – they've been bad this year, you know, again, partially because they have to wear masks at home. They're much stringent rules for them. So I'm just going with those 4: Memphis, Miami, Delaware, and Hofstra. And shout out to Joe Mihalik, by the way. Shout out to Joe Mihalik. 2 guys I want to shout out on the pod and hope that they're doing better. And I spoke to Tim Cluse about a week ago, the former Iona coach who had to step down last season due to health problems. And Joe, Hofstra's head coach, has been away from the team this year. So I want to shout out both those guys and hope they're doing better and continue to get better.
I just logged all of those picks into the BetSports app. So,
I mean, if you followed me on BetSports yesterday, you did well. 4 over. Now again, I'm not.
If you followed me on BetSports at about 1:36 in the PM,
Yeah, you were
Eastern
doing well.
Standard Time, the only legitimate time zone, you would have seen me log a 5-unit bet on Baylor minus 8.5.
Oof.
That was as soon as the news came down that Cade Cunningham wasn't playing. So if you have your notice turned on, you would have seen that. If you would have followed me, you would have sweat out for the first 30 minutes of that game. But then,
Yes, you would have. Yes, you would have.
but eventually, you would have.
Gary Butler got going, and it was a wrap. It was
You would have been
complete wrap.
You would have taken a ride to Prophet City with me.
Here's the biggest one today. Here, all right, Rob. Forget about the college hoop bets for today. We got 2 big-time football games today. You got Aaron Rodgers going against Tom Brady. Tampa Bay's giving 3.5. Who do you like? Brady, Rodgers. Who are you putting your money on?
Oh man,
It's at Lambeau.
I think you got to go with Rodgers at home. I just think you got to go with Rodgers at home. Like you just have to, right?
Yeah,
Tom Brady in the cold. You know, Tom Brady's like 60 years old, man. Like he don't want to be outside.
Rodgers isn't exactly a young buck, but he's used to Brady's used to the cold from being here in New England, but not that cold, right?
But he moved. But why do you think he moved to Tampa? He's like
he's gotten soft. You're calling him. You saying he's gotten soft?
He's like every old man. He's like every one of your grandparents. You know, like
look
he
at
wants
the 4 quarterbacks.
He didn't want to deal with having to shovel snow anymore. He didn't want to deal with the cold. He didn't want to deal with any of that. So he moved to Tampa. He moved to Florida.
He's smarter than the rest of us.
He's a snowbird, and now he's coming back to the cold. He didn't want to do that.
Yeah, listen, the only thing I'll say to that is, like, he's got so many weapons. I know Antonio Brown's banged up, but he's got so many damn weapons. Like, I don't know how he's got to have such a bad game. You know, Devontae Adams, the best receiver probably in football. But, man, Tampa's got weapons. And then you got Buffalo, Kansas City. Mahomes coming off the concussion, favored by 3.5 over Josh Allen, who's been terrific this year. Like, you got to go KC here, don't you? You just hoping Mahomes has no ill effects. You have to go Mahomes. I mean, we all want to see Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Maybe we don't. I covered the Bills. Like, I'm rooting for the Bills here.
I want the Bills. Like, I want the Bills to win. Are you kidding me? Like, Bills Mafia. I want to see what would happen to every single folding table in upstate New York if the Bills win that game.
Can I give you my favorite story covering the Buffalo Bills years ago?
Yeah, of course. Do you even need to ask?
I don't know if I've ever told you this one. So I'm covering the Bills, and I'm young. I'm like, it's 1999, so I'm like 27, and I was like, you know, I wasn't intimidated or anything like that. But I came in. I was working for the AP it was a part-time 6-month temporary position. Okay, I was going to learn from a guy named Bucky Gleason, who worked for the AP at the time. Well, right. I get there, and he's just taken a job with the Buffalo News. So there's nobody else there. So I'm on my own, completely on my own. I'm covering training camp, you know, driving every day. It's about an hour away from Buffalo every day. And built up a pretty good relationship with Bruce Smith at that time. It was Bruce Smith, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed. Like, at the end. It was awesome. Awesome. And so anyway, so the games start, and Doug Flutie's on the team too. Doug Flutie and Rob Johnson. I had played softball with Doug Flutie. So, like, I knew Doug. But, like, Doug was never, like, a touchy-feely type guy. But, like, I knew him, knew his nephew well. He was on our softball team. By the way, I've never seen anybody make a better throw from right center field. Somebody tried to tag up from second or third on him once, and he tracked down the ball. He was coming from, like, center, dead center. He tracks down the ball in right center, okay? Somebody tries to tag on him, and it's like deep right center. Going second or third. I'm playing third. He throws the ball on a line. The thing never moves. It's 10 feet off the ground, like 5 feet off the ground the entire time. I could have closed my eyes, caught the ball, put the tag on this kid, trying to go from second to third. It was that easy. Like, it's amazing to say, like, what an athlete he was. You know, I played hoop with him all the time, pick up down in Natick, Massachusetts. Like, he was just an athlete. Anyway, not to get off track.
We're already so far off track, it doesn't matter.
Anyway, You know who Ted Washington was?
Yes.
Remember Ted Washington? Was like 375-pound nose tackle, big boy. So every time, I never needed Ted Washington because he was a nose tackle, right? Working for the Associated Press, you don't need a nose tackle generally. So I never really talked to him through the first, all of training camp and the first maybe 6 weeks of the regular season. But I would watch everybody else go over and talk to him. And every time somebody would try to ask him a question, he'd do this whole song and dance. Oh, geez. Blah, 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 blah. Like, it was this whole charade. And, like, it was just so annoying to watch. So finally, after, like, I don't know, it's probably like game 8. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to talk to Ted. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to go over and talk to him just for the hell of it. I didn't really need him. But I'm like, I might as well get a quote. I need something, from a defensive lineman. So I go up, and his locker is right next to Marcellus Wiley's, who was young at that point, coming out of Columbia. And Marcellus was the exact opposite. The nicest human being in the world. Just kind of what you see now on TV with Marcellus. Just an elite level guy. So I go up to Ted, and I'm like, hey, Ted, you got a minute? Just need a quick comment from you on whatever. Oh, geez, why are you asking? Just going on and on and on for like 30 seconds. Why are you bothering me? Why are you asking me? Blah, blah, blah. So I just looked over at Marcellus, and I said, why does he have to be such an asshole? And walked out after that. And then the next day, so the defensive linemen have to come through the media room to get to their film room. So he comes up. And I kind of knew something was probably going to happen at that point. Like I knew it wasn't a smart move to mess with Ted Washington, but I did it anyway because I was an idiot. I probably would do the same thing now because I haven't learned. So he comes up. They come off the elevator, all the defensive linemen, and Ted comes right up. We're all at a table in the middle of the room. He comes up and he starts pointing right in my face. He called me an asshole, And I'm like, no, I said you were an asshole, Ted. Like, he's in my face. The PR guy, Scott Berchtold, is right there. And finally, luckily, Bruce Smith comes over and, like, gets him away from me. Because, like, he would have killed me. I mean, seriously, Ted Washington could have crushed me. He was that big, that strong. And me being a 27-year-old idiot reporter, I messed with him. The wrong guy. But again, Bruce Smith kind of saved my ass on that one. Bruce Smith also brought me. He was hurt that year, and he kind of showed me the injury that he was dealing with his shoulder, why he couldn't make his spin move. Like, it was the coolest year ever for me. Like, I saw Thurman Thomas get beyond shit-faced. The first preseason game, there's a bar across the street, and Alan Wilson, the late Alan Wilson of the Buffalo News, brought me over after the game. And we just had some wings and beers and whatever. And Thurman, man, he was doing shots so shit-faced. It was a really good half year. I got actually promoted from there to New York City to the main AP office, which was miserable. We could talk about that some other time. The experience I had there was brutal. But man, Buffalo, it was fun. It was fun covering the Bills and the Sabres.
So you're rooting for the Bills today. You just confirmed it.
Totally. No, totally.
Confirmed Kansas City hater. You guys heard it right here. Confirmed Kansas City hater.